I don't want to have it at all. It's been a month since I refused to have a studio. I had a studio for a year. It was my first studio, a small space, but which I transformed according to my needs, and then I understood that I don't need to have it. Why? How? What's the history of the studio, and why I think more artists, inventors, entrepreneurs, and people overall should try working from the city's space, different spaces, public places, etc. Having your own space is always good, so it's very great if you have a good home, as I do have now. If you have a space that is safe and comfortable and that helps you. On the other hand, I'm a strong supporter of working in a city. If you are a creator, if you are artist, if you are an entrepreneur, it's very cool to work in public places. And let me explain why. A bit more than a year ago, I've relaunched my art career. I've been making art, calligraphy art, version forms, that's texts converted to images, mostly poems converted to images, poems that I love to read and that I want to recapture, to show to the world in a very different way. So I do work there like since previous spring, since March of 2023. Just as it got more warm, I live in Poland, so it's a bit colder climate than what most of Europe or America has. I started to do a lot of art outside, in the city, in city center, in different cities very quickly, in different places that I love. I was living near a lake, a forest, and quite far away from city center. So I've been going to all the places that I love and make art there. I did art in forests, near a lake, on a beach, in some suburbia, in other neighborhoods, in center again. And I understood that I love when people see me doing art. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not afraid of people seeing it, even though I'm not a most sociable person maybe, but for me, what I do, my art very quickly became a way to socialize, to talk to people, a way to connect to strangers and to give them a perspective of what's happening in my head, in my culture, because what I do is a representation of my culture and my language, which I speak from 13 years old. That was almost the first moment when I understood that, wow, I love doing art in public. I love to do creative work, other creative work, to design in public, to make films, to shoot documentaries, to do notes, to plan things out. I'm this kind of urban person who likes to live in a city, especially in a big city, but who loves any places that are different from home, different from like this very comfortable, safe space, like a studio. So very quickly, a studio for me became like a storage. I tried different configurations of how to do a studio, tried to make a secluded zone for working with my art there, for working with editing and video there, for shooting there, for reading books there. Even though it was a small studio, I've managed to pack a lot of things to it. But at the end, in a couple of months, it just converted to being a storage for different things that I didn't need in my flat, and storage for my artworks, of course. One thing that was bothering me a lot was that to get some materials like paper, canvas, or different works that I needed, for example, for market, for exhibition or for travel, I needed to go to a studio, collect it there, and it became absurd at some point because I stopped to understand whether certain items are now at my home or at my studio, and there were multiple situations when I just was thinking, oh, is it at home? Is it at studio? There was a situation when I gone to the studio to search for a thing that was at my home. There were 2 or 3 situations like this, and it started to annoy me a lot, especially since I didn't do much art in that studio. 2 films at the studio. One is experimental animation for a large movie almanac that I was invited to do by my colleague, friend Nikita Lavretsky. Other was a music video for a band that is well known in my culture called Bez Nazvy, and it was a very interesting in stylistic terms music video. But besides those two films and some artworks, I stopped to use the studio altogether. So for last month, even though it was autumn or winter, I was still mostly working with my art or at home or at some places where I went to, public places, etc. I started to think, do I really need this studio? It became quite a dull thing to have. I needed to keep in mind what items are in a studio, not at home. Do I need to go to work there? I didn't want to make a lot of choices, like to work at home, to work at city, to work at the studio. I just wanted to cross this out of my life, because it was adding almost nothing. Yes, it added a space where I can, for example, color large objects, where I can potentially work with larger artworks in an easier way. There are advantages to having a studio. If you work with large canvas, of course, certainly. But for me, for making arts that are usually like A4 or bigger 2 times than A4, or arts from things that I find at the street, it was not very suitable. For other creative work, like doing video editing, design, doing business, coordinating stuff, it wasn't very suitable either. It also started to feel a bit cramped. So that's why I decided to abandon it altogether, and now I don't have a studio and I don't regret it for a single day. So it was an interesting experience to have a studio, a first studio of mine, but also it's very good not to have to. I can see myself having an artist studio either in a city center, right in the center, or somewhere very far away, like in a forest, far away from civilization, but in interesting natural places. So it can be either this or this. It will be in a different point of time. Somehow it happens that actions that I do and decisions that I make often push me to different interesting decisions. So having a studio wasn't also like planned, but different actions and talks and decisions that I made beforehand like laid down the idea to have a studio and to have it with a very affordable price. It was a very unique thing to have for me as an artist in Eastern Europe nowadays. But in the same manner, the decision not to have it came in the same way, very naturally, organically, and I didn't even think very much about it. I just thought that, well, it makes sense, and it really makes sense. Don't regret it. Recommend it to some people, but I also get when some artists want to have physical space. Maybe this video is also like a celebration of working in public places, of doing arts and doing different interesting fun things in public places, of living a curious life as I like to live. Hopefully it can inspire you to make any decision that will be suitable to you, and to live a more curious and fun life. So thank you for watching this video. See a pinned comment for some very fun and interesting links. Thank you, and have a nice day or evening. Goodbye.